Hey everybody, I'm William Green. Welcome back to My Green Pets. And we're starting out in my cold little sunroom that I've got here in the back of the house. I don't really heat this room, so the plants in here are able to deal with a little bit cooler temperatures. And some of them actually need it. For example, this poinsettia, this is just one that I had last year for Christmas. And it was outside in the shade house, or the shade tent all summer. And then in the fall, when it started to cool down, it started to actually put out these little red leaves. And I've never had that happen. I've never had a poinsettia alive for more than a year. So I've been pretty happy that, you know, it's not as pretty as it was when I got it, but I'm still kind of learning with it. And apparently it needs shorter days and cooler temperatures in order to produce these red leaves on it, so I'm pretty happy with that. That's encouraging. Another plant that really kind of needs a winter cooler period is this one down here. This is a Clavia miniata, and it needs a couple months of cool temperatures, kind of trick it to thinking it's having winter, and then after that, maybe beginning of February or so, I will warm it up. Well, maybe it'll just warm up on its own. I probably won't do anything special to it, but then it'll produce those bright, beautiful orange flowers that the Clavias are known for, and be looking forward to those. So let's get out of here. It's kind of chilly. It's very, very cold outside. -15 degrees Celsius last night, and I think the high is -6 today. So yeah, looking forward to going down into the green room where things are quite a bit warmer. Okay, here we are. This certainly lights up a dark corner of the basement, doesn't it? Got all my orchids in here, and everyone seems to be doing all right. Let's take a look at temperature and humidity. Temperature right now is 20.4 Celsius and 62% humidity. We've got the humidifier over here, and it's set to kick on when the humidity drops below 55%, but it's not always 100% accurate, and sometimes it runs, and the humidity up here can get, you know, in the 70s and sometimes even in the 80s when I water. The light is a 400 watt metal halide bulb, and it puts out quite a bit of light. As you can see, all these plants are being sustained only by that one light. So that gives you an idea of how powerful it is. And I've got a fan here. It's set on low. It sits in the corner, and it's on all the time, 24 hours a day. So it's constantly swirling the air around in here, giving us some good air circulation. As far as heat goes, this room gets a little bit chilly, but there is a heat duct that goes from the furnace. And this duct carries hot air throughout the house. And the vents, of course, vent it up into the house, but the hot air still has to travel through this. And so what I find is that just having this warm duct that goes across the back here and then also across the top there, they're very warm when you touch them. They can even be kind of hot when the air is really when the heat is really kicked on. So that raises the temperature in here. And even when it's very cold outside, the temperature in here does not go below 20 degrees Celsius. That's about 68 degrees Fahrenheit. So that keeps everybody happy. If it got much cooler than that, I would start to see some problems, especially with the warmer growing plants. I know last year I had some issues with my Cattleya seedlings. They had black spots developing on the leaves, but I haven't had any of those this year, and that is hopefully because of the warmer temperatures. The light is on an automatic timer. They're set to come on around 10 o'clock in the morning and go off around 10 o'clock at night. So it's about 12 hours of light and 12 hours of darkness. Now after March, after the equinox in March, I will start increasing the amount of daylight in this room so that when they go outside towards the beginning of May, they'll be getting the same amount of light outside that they've been getting inside. So in April, I'll probably kick the light up another hour, and then maybe one more hour by the beginning of May, so that they'll be getting about 14 hours of light, and then the rest of the time darkness. 10 hours of darkness. Okay, let's have a look at what's blooming, and of course the big bloom right now is this Mormodia Jumbo World. This is its 3rd week, I guess, of bloom, maybe a little bit longer. And finally, all the flowers are open. So as you can see, these 3 right here in the middle, they kind of were the last ones. But everything else is open and looking nice. All kind of looking up at us there. I'm really hoping that they last one more week. The colors and everything still seem to be pretty strong. If they last one more week, I will take it to St. Louis next weekend and have it judged and see what the judges think. Just a quick note on this plant. I showed you a few weeks ago that I had pollinated this flower, and you can see the flower has shriveled up, but it looks like the pollination has not been successful. What looked like it was going to swell into a seed pod is turning yellow, and yellow is never a good color when it comes to this stuff. So I think that this pollination attempt has not succeeded. What else is in bloom? This is a rescue Phalaenopsis that I was given this past spring. It was kind of in bad shape, and it grew some new leaves over the summer, grew some new roots, and it bloomed with 7 it's got 7 buds. 4 of them are open. And I went into a little bit more detail about it last week, showed the true color in natural light. In this metal halide light, it is a little bit more purple than it would actually look in the sunlight. But it's very pretty, and I'm very happy with it. Here's another Phalaenopsis in bloom. It's got 3 open, and then there's 1 bud back here. See him? He's cracking open. He'll be open in the next couple days. And these spots are a little bit pinker than they look here. Like I said, this light, since it gives off very yellowish light, it kind of affects the color of the flowers that you see. But the form is a little bit odd. This one, this petal is a little bit smaller than the other one. The right petal is smaller, and it's also got some color break there. And normally color break can sometimes be, well, it can be an indication of virus, but I've tested the plant for a virus. It hasn't shown up the Cymbidium mosaic or the odontoglossum ring spot, so it could just be a deformity. It could just be a result of being indoors. I don't know. But the flower on the opposite side here, over here, this one is just it's very nice. There's no deformities on it, so that's okay with me. I'm just happy that it's blooming. In addition to the things in bloom, there's lots of Phalaenopsis in bud right now. You can just see buds everywhere. And it won't be long before all these start popping open, and it will be a really, really nice show in here. Let's take a look at some of the more interesting buds. Here's a Phalaenopsis. It's a yellow one with pink spots, and it is actually starting to crack open right now, so maybe next week that one will be fully opened up. Here's a white Phalaenopsis. Looks like it's starting to, its buds are starting to swell up and get ready to bloom. But have a look at this little guy over here. This is Amesiella monticola, and this is the first time that it will be blooming for me. I've had it a couple of years, but wow, it looks like a little dragon just getting ready to take off and fly away. The flower looks like it's going to be bigger than the actual plant. just fascinating. Look how that spur has just grown since last week, and it's taken on that you can see that the petals will be white. I'm really excited to see this bloom. I wish there were more than one flower, but I am very glad that it is blooming nonetheless. In addition to that flower, I've actually, if you look in the back of it there, you can see a new root poking out, and that's always a relief because this plant, it grows so slowly that if you repot it, or if you mess with the roots at all, or if it loses roots, it takes so long to grow new ones. So I'm definitely happy to see that it's got that new root poking out. And there's also one on the bottom that you can't see. There's also another root growing as well. So that's as much cause to celebrate as the actual bloom, because without roots, of course, the plant would not be able to continue growing. Another interesting bud that we've got that continues to develop is this one. This is a Bulbophyllum species that I'm being secretive about, and I of course will let you guys know if you don't guess, but this is a plant I received from a friend in Tennessee, in Nashville, a couple weeks ago, and the bud on it is progressing nicely. As you can see, it's starting to get, you're starting to be able to see kind of what the shape is. It's flat, and it looks like it's going to be long, and yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's not going to be a particularly big flower. This is not a big Bulbophyllum. The leaves, the flowers, everything are smaller, but I think it's going to be interesting, especially once it blooms. I'm going to really stick the camera in there so that you can see some of the finer parts of the flower and the namesake of the plant. What the Latin name comes from is from the shape of the flower. So can't wait to show you guys that plant in bloom. Hopefully the bud will continue to develop normally, and there won't be any problems with that. This grouping of plants here, these are all different types of slipper orchids, and the largest ones are multifloral slipper orchids. That means they put out more than one flower. Sometimes they can put out, you know, several flowers, and they're all quite amazing. But these plants grow so slowly. They're very slow growers, and so as I showed you with the Amesiella a minute ago, with the root coming out, being cause to celebrate, the other day I looked down here and I saw a new growth poking out of this one. Can you see him down there? Yeah, that's a new growth. And once again, this is as much cause to celebrate as a flower spike coming out, because when these plants are growing, putting out new growths, that is such a good sign. You know, that means things are going right. The plant has enough energy, it has enough light, and it wants to grow. So that is definitely a big plus. That also means that this growth is nearing maturity. It won't be doing much more. It won't be putting out many more leaves. It's kind of reaching the end, and that means that I'm going to start looking in this part of the plant, in this crease here, right down the middle. I'm going to start looking there for signs of blooming. I'm going to be checking that regularly. The plant tells me that it's happy, that this growth is just about finished, and it might be thinking about blooming within the next, I don't know, few months. This might be a summer bloomer, so I might have a few months to wait. But as you guys know, slipper orchids, the leaves grow very slowly, but when they decide to bloom, the spikes can go from just, you know, barely being able to see them poking up to reaching their full height, you know, sometimes more than a foot or even 2 feet or more in just, you know, just less than a month or so, just in a few weeks. So when they bloom, some of them at least it can happen very quickly. So that's always exciting. Last thing I want to show you today is this. You may recognize it, you may not. This is Cycnodes Wine Delight, and this is a catasetum type orchid in full dormancy. It has lost all of its leaves, it's done blooming, and you're just left with the pseudobulbs and some roots, and that's it. And it's so funny because, I mean, if you didn't know what this plant was and someone gave it to you and said, hey, here, this is a beautiful plant, why don't you take this, you would just think, what? What is this thing? What? It looks dead, right? But that's what I think is so amazing about these orchids, because they really have this dormancy period where they don't look like much at all, you know, but there is life. There is life within these. And in fact, if you look closely, right there at the base where the flower was, let's see if I can get in there. My camera will go in there. Yeah. Look at that. You see where that root is going into the plant, that white root at the base of it? You see that green pointy thing? That is going to be next year's growth. And I don't know if this will be the only one. Maybe I'll get lucky. Maybe there will be another one. But that little pointy thing is going to start growing here, I don't know, the next month or so. And next year's growth will be on its way. So there's always something kind of interesting to look forward to with these orchids. I'm really, really pleased with it. And one thing I'm going to focus on is I just set this plastic pot into this wooden basket just for the heck, just to have somewhere to put it. And as you see, the roots have grown all over it. So now I can't take this, I can't repot it, I can't take it out of there without tearing up all those roots. And you know, I could do that. The plant would totally survive if I tore it out of there. But I'm okay with it being in this. And since it's got a new growth on it, what I'm going to do is turn it so that when the new growth comes out, it's going to be growing towards the light, and I'm going to try to get it to grow in the direction that has the most room, and that would be kind of this way, you know, growing away from the way I've got it oriented now, so that it could maybe put on 1, 2, maybe even 3 more growths in this situation, and me not have to do anything with it, to repot it or anything. So I might take some sphagnum moss or some bark and drop it in the space between the plastic pot and the basket there, just so it's got something to run its roots through. But I'm going to leave it as is. It seems to be fine. The roots seem to be happy with the wooden basket there. They're growing through it. They're not. Sometimes roots will turn away from something that they don't like. You know, if it's like a salty material, or if it's got too much mineral content, the roots will touch it, and as soon as they touch it, they'll stop growing, or they'll grow the opposite direction. But as you can see, these roots are growing right into it. They seem to be okay with it. So hey, if it's doing what it likes and it's doing okay, I'm gonna let it continue to do that. Guys, that's all I've got for you today. I am so glad that you decided to come and spend a few minutes with me here and My Green Pets. I'll be sure to update you next weekend, and maybe some of these buds that you see will be popped open, and I'll have a full report on those when they do open up. Looking forward to all of that happening. Let's give you one last view from this direction, and let's hope that next week that this plant is lucky enough to receive an award. That would be great. We'll see you next time. I'm William Green, and these are My Green Pets. Take care, guys.